Greetings, weary travelers. Come, warm yourself by the fire, and let us regale you with mighty tales, tales of adventure, tales of heroism, and of course, tales of Tamriel. Brought to you by the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. I am your host, Lotus of Doom, with a kind of last-minute shift, so to speak, where the guest could make it and the other two hosts can't. So things are going to be a little different, but you know, that's everybody's used to that by now. Our guest this week to discuss all things, well, one, Ebonheart Pact, but two, changes to Cyrodiil and how everything feels. ManCaveGaming, stream team member for ESO, Twitch partner, whole bunch of stuff. How you doing, ManCave?
I'm doing good. Everything but Godslayer seems like no.
The list of accolades except God. Look, we'll all get there one day. There's just, we got to get some more gods to slay. Maddie's taking them all. That's the problem.
Yeah, and then the gloat that Maddie also well deserves too.
That's true. It's a very big accomplishment. So Maddie will enjoy that. Yeah. Shout out to Maddie Gone. But no, I'm really glad to have you here today because really the news is there's not a ton of actual news because we're closing in on the High Isle chapter and all of that. But since we're not there yet, there's only so much you can keep talking about because it's really just PTS as they iron out bugs, make changes, stuff like that, which we will address a little bit because originally I had mentioned how much I enjoyed the idea of the Oaken Soul Ring, and then they nerfed the Oaken Soul Ring, and now they've unnerfed. Yeah, and then they unnerfed the Oaken Soul Ring. This fourth cycle, I'm like, what is happening with this ring? I don't understand. So, yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But mainly, what we'll do is I'm kind of curious, and you know, other than the fact that we got to hang out, also, Jay Hart, thank you for the enormous raid. Welcome in, everybody. So
great. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, here we go. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. The big thing, other than getting to reminisce about PAX East, which we're totally going to do. Sorry, not sorry, everyone. But the server architecture refresh on PC North American server, despite the fact that they had mentioned that it wasn't going to have any substantial performance increases, it seems as if it's had substantial performance increases. So
huge increases.
Yeah. So I main on PlayStation, so I don't have the same degree of use on the PC servers. So this is kind of one of the things I really kind of want your opinion on because one, you're a PvP main, and two, you're on the server in question. So far from your experience, we've been hearing a lot about it. What exactly has been your experience with this? Anything you like, don't like, all that good stuff. Let us hear what you got.
So, you know, when I first came to ESO 2 or so years ago, I got into PvE first, and then I was introduced to Cyrodiil maybe 6 months later. And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. But as I started to get more competitive with it, trying to use skills weren't firing when I wanted them to. I couldn't break free when I wanted to. And I always thought man, if they figure out a way to fix this will be the best PvP experience across all MMO games ever. Mm-hmm. But, you know, they said we'll do some reprogramming and things like that. It's 2 years out. And when they said that, I was like, okay, it probably never going to get fixed. You know, there's no perfect PvP experience in MMOs. And this is just one of the run of the mill things that we're going to get used to. When they said that they're going to upgrade the server and there's going to be no performance increases, I thought, okay, they're just curbing expectations. They think maybe 85% chance that this will fix everything that NA players are complaining about.
Yep.
Because we complain the loudest.
That is valid, right? Which we've brought up many a time where it's like, okay, not that it's not without reason, but at the same time, after so many years, it can get pretty salty.
Yeah. And then we complain about not complaining. It's weird what we do, but it happens. And I say I try not to complain as much, but I talk to Slash Lurk Rich a lot. And I say, people will complain about stuff that they're passionate about. We're fans, and they're fans, and fans is short for fanatic. So when they love something, just like they love their favorite basketball team or football team, they're going to be not happy when the thing that they love isn't performing like they think they should.
Totally makes sense. And I get that. And there's the thing that we've talked about, because I mean, in terms of the whole podcast sphere, it's definitely been one where we're not, we definitely like to be positive because it's a game we enjoy, but at the same time, when something needs to be criticized, much like, we're not above our own type of like, oh yeah, no, if we do something wrong, let us know. We do the same. And the idea is to always keep it respectful or whatever. But, from whatever side of things, it's definitely, the complaints about PvP are there for a reason. Like, be it neglected, or it doesn't work right, or whatever. I actually consider myself pretty lucky where a lot of my complaints don't tend to relate to Cyrodiil, as weird as it is. I actually have more problems in Battlegrounds, which is literally mind-blowing to people.
Really?
I know. I lag so much worse in Battlegrounds than I do in Cyrodiil. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand.
That's strange.
Yeah. My thought, which I've tried to say before, is the only thought I have is maybe I only notice it more because Battlegrounds are more like you're squished into a pile, so it's more focused on the competitive nature of you personally, where an individual effort in a battleground, you can win a battleground. An individual effort, you can have like one amazing person. Unless they literally bomb an entire and keep killing everyone, you're probably one person isn't going to matter the same way they do in Battlegrounds. So I'm wondering if I always just notice it more in Battlegrounds because I get sweatier in Battlegrounds, where usually I'm like, woo, zerg it up, baby. And like, it's a different, so maybe that's the thing. But like, for the most part, and that's just it. It's like I have plenty of issues in Cyrodiil, but it's like Battlegrounds always kind of gets on my nerves quicker. And I wonder if maybe that's why I just notice it or something more. But
well, yeah, because like you said, that one kill can make a difference.
Right.
That one person, one kill can make the difference of capturing the flag or the chaos ball or what
exactly.
have you. So I see what you're saying. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think maybe that's it, because then it's like, if I'm sucking or getting dominated or something, I'm going to get way more irritated than if it's like I get dropped 5 times at a keep or whatever, but we take the keep. Well, who the hell cares? We took the keep anyways. Like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but so with Cyrodiil, how have things been going? Because, you stream pretty regularly. And honestly, I think I've only ever been to your stream once, and it hasn't been PvP. So, How have things been working for you? Like, things good, things better? I mean, obviously, this isn't like an instant fix, the game is flawless type of deal, but...
Okay, so I say this, and I hate to say it because it's something that, especially in the computer world or game world, you don't really say often, but there's no issue in Cyrodiil anymore.
Wow.
And I mean, when do you say something's 100% fixed? And I'm trying to think, I mean, the only thing that can improve, which is probably not going to improve, is, well, 2 things. One is the queue time, because it's fixed. Everybody wants to play.
Now everybody wants to play.
Queue time. Yeah. So the queues are ridiculous now. And the second is, sometimes you drop frames, but that's just the sheer amount of people and the skills that they're now able to do. Your screen is flooded with all this amazing glitter, and your video card is struggling to process it. But it still does not stop gameplay. Like, you could still fire your skills. We're talking like, instead of being 100 frames per second or what have you, you're down to like 34, which visually your eyes won't tell the difference. They say, but I can, and I know you can, but
yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. So I would say It's fixed, and it's weird to say. I even thinking about it, because like I said, in this type of environment, we never say something is 100% fixed, but
no,
it's fixed.
That is weird. Because you're not the only. It's not like this is a unique thing where you're the only person that has mentioned like, oh, it's fixed. It literally everywhere, and from people who are, because honestly, you have a pretty fun stream where it's, you're competitive, but it's not rage nonstop and all this stuff. Like some people really sweaty to the point of is like, I'm not sure you actually enjoy what you're doing, like at all. But like I've noticed a lot of people, even those that generally all I ever see is them like not pleased about stuff, generally being like, yeah, no, this is much better. Which is, like you said, you don't usually see universal praise for something. That's peculiar, especially after things started to dip, at least in my memory, quite a bit around the time of Somerset. So it's been like 4 years of kind of like, yep, performance got worse, performance got worse, performance got worse. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, things kind of work. It's like, whoa, what the?
Yeah. And I just imagine Rich like sitting up, in his ESO chair with his arms folded, like, take that, idiots.
It's one of those things where they've said they've been working on it so long, and it's not that I don't believe them, but it's one of those things where after so long, it starts just becoming like white noise, where it's like, yes, you're working on it. You're working on it. And, even though Ark can't make it today, he's mentioned constantly as he programs video games where he's like, sometimes this shit just doesn't, like, you don't even know why it doesn't work. Like, you fix something that should fix it. I mean, there was the situation with the patch. Everybody was concerned, like, oh no, the patch broke this. And it turned out it was that faulty port. So it took them so long to get to because you just released a patch. Why would you think there would be a hardware failure at the exact same time as it? It's like,
yeah, exactly. And it's usually never hardware, and the devs will always take fault for new things, right. You broke something in your code and what did you do? And it turns out it's hardware.
Yeah. So that's why it's weird to have kind of like such a positive sentiment around something that is like notoriously not positive, but it honestly should be, because we've mentioned how much fun, it might not be for everybody the same way PvE isn't for everybody and stuff like that, but like so much of it is really, really fun once you kind of get into the PvP aspect of Cyrodiil and stuff like that. If the open world chaos of all that or the competitive nature of it is something that appeals to you, which I like it. So it's like, yeah, it really is like one of the best when it works.
Yeah. And now that was a thing. Everybody said that, like, oh, Cyrodiil is great when it works. Cyrodiil is great in the morning. Cyrodiil is great when you play Blackreach at night. It's always been that way, but now it's like Cyrodiil is great. And I was thinking the other day, I haven't seen like yesterday I streamed with the guild Misfits, and we had a three faction battle for like 45 minutes with zero lag, and it was amazing. It's something wild. Something that we haven't been able to have, because when that happens, everybody's lagging. It almost looks like people would stand still and take damage. That's what it used to look like. Yeah, so people would just leave, like, okay, let's just find a one-on-one battle or something like that. Let's just go somewhere else. And everybody stayed there, and it was just amazing. And it's almost like Cyrodiil is like a game within the game. It could stand alone on it by itself, and I think it should, with some balance issues that are affecting PvE, and PvE balance issues are affecting PvP, and vice versa. Yeah,
that's definitely something that I understand logistically why they are not balanced separately to a degree. Like it's a cost thing. I mean, it's not even subtle. Rich has even said that is way more expensive to do than people seem to realize, be it time, resources. Like, so I get it. So you have overlap. I did kind of like, I forget what set it was off the top of my head, where it related to battle spirit was how it even activated, which I thought was kind of an interesting way of having it be like, when battle spirit is active, this happens. It's like, oh, that's almost like a cool way of making it almost balanced separately. So I kind of hope they might work into that, because, I guess to sort of tie into the PTS stuff, Dragon Knights are kind of getting slapped around a decent bit. And it's okay. So DKs did get they had their time to shine. What was it? Pretty 6 or 7 months. Yeah, I was going to say they started around Deadlands. They've been top tier in our Unchained prog. It's really funny. We've tried different strategies as we've gotten within we've been within 2 deaths of getting our flawless Black Rose thing, but we've tried different strategies for different. Oh, what does this comp work? How does this work? What if I use this? Whatever. And
and this is on PlayStation?
Yeah, this is on PlayStation.
Oh, dude, how do you guys do that without any add-ons? I don't understand.
We get that a lot. Let's just say that if we could turn off those stupid-ass sigils instead of needing to avoid them like the plague, that'd make that arena a lot easier. But the thing is, while we were doing it, we notice immediately when our flex player, Neo, he'll play a whole bunch of different stuff. He'll DPS on anything he likes, pretty much. So he likes to have variety. I don't like variety. I play the same dude all the time. And we've got a sorcerer. That's his thing. He's just a beast of a sork. That's his thing. He doesn't like to play other DPS. Totally fine. That's how we've marked. Our healer flexes around. If he plays on anything else, we get one type of ballpark for a time. He goes on a DK and we shave off 3 minutes. And I'm like, dude, wow. He hits like a freight train on that thing. And it's unreal how much damage it seems to do. But at the same time, it's like you said, time to shine seems like it might be getting bumped down a couple tiers here, because that sustain and that healing, woof.
That's what it is. It's the sustain. Yeah. I kind of feel like that too on the Warden, and I hope they don't. I hope they don't do this to the Warden, but it's constant pressure all the time on. And now we're talking PvE, but it's constant pressure that you could keep putting on the boss without worrying about your sustain. You don't have to worry about heavy attacking to get to get your resources back. Yeah, and it looks like they're taking some of that power away, and it's actually pretty significant. I forgot who did it, but there is a video on YouTube where they compared the same rotation on PTS with the same rotation on live, and I say he got maybe through 70% of his rotation and ran out of resources.
Wow. Yeesh.
Yeah, he just stood there and started jumping up and down. You could just there's no words in the video. You could sense his frustration.
Cool, I guess I'm done parsing. Yeah. So I don't know. People who definitely like the theory crafting, which that's not my gig. I'm not a theory crafter, really. But listening to Skinny Cheeks and Nephis and stuff like that kind of discuss the PvE side of it. It's been kind of funny because it's that's just it. It's just oof. And they'll make some suggestions, and it's just, this is a very big change is I think what's even more jarring. Yeah. Even reining them back in, so maybe they're not quite so far ahead, but it's just they're kind of smashing them a bit, especially with that combustion passive. And the healing thing, I know, that's very PvP related from my understanding.
It is.
Yeah, because that's just it. It's at least because I DK, but on my tank for the most part. I'll match DK if I'm needed, but that's not my preferred way to do it. But I don't use the alternate form. I actually don't know what it's even called. The one they're changing.
Coagulating blood.
Thank you. Yeah, because I always use Green Dragon. So I'm I don't know, the wrong morph, whatever. But I know that's
the wrong morph.
But that's the one I know is much more useful from the PvP side of things as opposed to the PvE version.
Yeah, it basically brings you back from death. Yeah, and that's what it's designed to do. And not only does it bring you back from death, it fills you up all the way. Especially if you add radiating healing. You can almost, I won't say never die, but if you're fighting 2 or 3 decent, or even 4 decent people in PvP, you will not die.
Yeah.
But if you're, fighting 2 or 3 really good PvP players, yeah, they're going to take you down. But that's the problem, and I think that's why they're taking the hit, because more people are playing PvP, and it's
right, so
it's weird. It's
gonna be a
they
focus
gotta try to
now.
balance that out.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's the problem with, like, when you have an overlap, it ends up like, okay, PvE content is ideally designed to be more and more challenging, as and they do a good job. Things get easier as they get older, but like they stay good. There's a decent challenge. For the most part, but it's one of these things where when you have to switch balance around in something like this in turn will make some stuff a lot harder for people who play DKs, or you switch to something different, which with shared achievements is fine. Like that's definitely more appealing, but it's still, it's definitely jarring. And it's why it would probably be ideal if they could just balance them separately, because a lot of the overlap happens. You'll get a nerf to one thing or the other side of things based on the one that you're probably not doing. Like, oh, what? This was totally fine. Like, I use this for my trial. Well, it's screwing up this in PvP. Or this is totally, like, wrecking house in PvP, but it's, like, trash in PvE. It's that weird thing where it has other applications, which is lame when it doesn't relate to you and it's getting changed because of the other side of the pond type of thing.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it. Like the whole battle spirit idea, it sounds awesome. And, that it'll be great if they maybe have a small test to see how it works.
Yeah.
But I see the other side of it too. It's like, okay, if you're going to use this battle spirit and do changes with battle spirit only, are you going to get away from what that class does great, or what that class is supposed to be bad at?
Sure.
Yeah. So you could get total 2 different play experiences. Like if you play, I'm just throwing it out there. If you play a Nightblade in PvP, it'll be, total 180 difference if you play it in PvE. Do they really want something like that?
Right. Yeah. At least now you have a parity to the degree of, like, you at least know how the class plays. It's the thing where everybody talks about class identity type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, you keep it kind of, if at least there's some overlap. You could, to your point, I guess I didn't really think of that. You could really diverge off in different directions if they really double down on, like, oh, well, this is out of control and this is weak, so we're gonna buff this, but it's all related to the battle spirit, and it's like, okay, I've got my character, I'm gonna play them in PvE from PvP, and it's like, what am I doing? Like, I have no idea how this character even plays. Like, what is going on? So that's actually kind of an interesting point I hadn't considered, is you almost homogenize it, or you could, not necessarily that they will, but there's a chance it could just get, like, really homogenized that way.
It can. And that's, that you can say that, you won't diverge and do that. But then again, it goes back to, we could play in the loudest here in NA. And so you want to shut them up. So you do what you can do to shut them up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. My heart goes out to ManCaveDK mains who are on my trials teams, who are probably going to be throwing them in the trash. On the only flip side, I'm hoping that means that Templar DPS will kind of see a little bit of a spike, because at the moment I'm not in high demand on my DPS, but I can Templar DPS like decent. But I'm hot trash trying to mag DK DPS in PvE. I'm just terrible. I can't keep those rotations straight. It's a mess.
You just got a jab. That's it. Just
and that's why it's like I always joke that it's just like I mean, I know Rich loves his Stam DK or Stamplar, and Delty is always about any type of Plar period. And once I was like, okay, I gotta definitely jump into playing a DPS so that I can fill another role now that we have shared achievements type of thing. I can do something more. And doing solo arenas, it sucks trying to do them on a tank because they're not designed for that shit. So like
you just don't have the damage on the DPS checks.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, it was fine when Flawless Conqueror. I was like, well, if I just go slow as shit, I can still get through it if I just don't die. And then the Vash one came out and it's like, yeah, you got 45 minutes to do the whole trial. I'm like, oh dude, I can't do this on a tank. What are you not? I do like 10k damage. Way. So like, yeah, like, so I learned that what I felt to be like the most intuitive / easiest one for me to pick up, and is a Magplar, and I'm like, oh, I love this. But then looking for trials, like most people are like, yeah, one Magplar is fine. I was like, crap. I was like, it's just as rare as being a tank. Like, damn it, I didn't really feel anything else useful. So, but
that's why I went with Warden.
Yeah,
because there's some useful skills that I could put out there. Necro is another good one.
Yeah, everybody's loving Necros. Those are
you could do a lot of buffing to the group and things like that with different sets. So
for sure,
Necros are good. They're not going to output as much DPS as I would say a DK, but maybe that will change because DKs are getting hit. So. Right,
that's why it's like, who knows? Yeah, and that's just it. It's like, yeah, and Kiz from chat is saying like back to Necro. It is, yeah. It's like, you know, that's kind of it. You know, it is what it is. There's always some shift, and it's good to see different different preferences on classes get optimized and stuff like that. So it. You know, I understand the changes, but it's rough when I don't make any bones about the fact that I don't mind power creep as much as people are like, why would you want power creep? I was like, I just want to be better, even if I'm not better. I just want to look like I'm better.
I want the game to make me better.
Yeah, just like, which brings us to the Oaken Soul, right? So that thing has been the most contentious. I don't even know what to say about this thing.
Well, when it first came out, so when I first started playing the game, you know, ESO is 100% different than all the other MMOs out there. You play differently. It's just different, right? It's like learning a new genre of MMOs, pretty much. So I started with 1-bar builds. With Duma, actually. Duma has a whole bunch of 1-bar builds for new players and for disabled players and things like that. So the 1-bar builds is not new to me. It's something that's how I learned how to play ESO, essentially.
Sure.
And to see that there was a mythic coming in to boost the damage of some of the stuff that I was using, the 1-bar, once I got used to light weaving, I was hitting like 70k DPS on the 1-bar build.
On a 1-bar build, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then that ring comes out, and I'm like, oh shit, now I can hit, you know, close to 100k on a 1-bar build.
Right.
But they nerfed it, but I didn't know about the changes of them unnerfing it.
So the current situation at hand, let me see if I can pull up the exact details, but basically what it's become now and the newest situation of it, that is not an Oaken Soul ring. Why would I want to buy one on Amazon? Okay, here we go. Actual ESO.
Be careful what you Google, my friend.
Yeah, that is okay. That was a weird misdirection. So they've added. All right, here we go. So it looks like this is a terrible one. Nope, this is outdated crap. Whatever. The idea to it, we won't go through every single one of the buffs or whatever, because we can do this from an overview standpoint. Originally, it gave just raw stats galore. And everybody's like, holy crap, this thing is ridiculous.
Dude, we tested it. This is probably why it got nerfed. Okay. We tested it on a werewolf in PvP.
Yeah, that...
And you can just imagine it was ridiculous.
So that was out the gate clearly like an issue where it was like, dude, it's already a 1-bar being a werewolf. Good Lord. But then what they did was they were like, well, we need to give it, we'll give it a bunch of major buffs so that it's not just raw power, which was like, okay, most of these major buffs you're getting from potions or sets or skills. It's just like, okay, so now this is just a piece of crap and has no
Yeah.
real
It
value.
has no value at that point. Yeah.
Right. So now what they've done is they took out the stat bonuses. So like you get this much stamina, this much magicka, this much health. Like those were the still remaining ones. They ditched those, but now you get a bunch of minor buffs. So it brought back in some utility because you weren't getting minor buffs. So now you've got some major buffs, minor buffs. So you can have 100% uptime on quite a few things now, which that's better because you can work with that a bit more. But it's one of those things where it is not nearly as good as when it started. It's, in my opinion, much better than where it was when it was don't equip this. And now it's kind of like, it seems pretty decent for solo. It actually probably would perform best in solo, like probably more efficient than the Pale Order Ring, I would think, just because you get so many different things. And if you do any degree of self-healing, like you're going to benefit from that. So I think it might just perform better than if you're using Pale Order. But the problem is group utility, unless you build a team around people wearing this specific thing, so you're trying to give things it doesn't give, it does not seem like it's going to have a lot of group utility, which, I don't know. I'm conflicted because I like the penalty of only having one bar. Because to your point, that's how you learned. That's how I learned as well. It's like, I'm just going to start with one bar and then I'll just progress to another one. Outside of that, and I've mentioned it before, Deltia has some one-bar builds. Hack the Minotaur has some one-bar builds. And the person I found that I actually adopted their builds and screwed around with them a little bit, and that's what I used to get my trifecta in the Vash Hollows thing, was Duma, who I know you know. And I know he designed the one-bar builds for ease of use for people who have reasons they can't bar swap efficiently.
Exactly, yeah.
So from an accessibility standpoint, I really like the idea of a viable build that only involves one bar. It doesn't need to be bleeding. You don't need to be dropping 128k. But if you could be like no trial team, well, I mean, I guess some might, but there's always somebody. But no reasonable trial team outside like pushing for world's high score is going to be like, oh, you do 100k DPS, you're not good enough to join for this clearing prog or something like that. It'd be kind of cool if people who were incapable of bar swapping could be included in that at the moment.
I didn't think about that because there are, they have physical reasons why they can't.
Yeah.
And I know someone who actually streams right now who has trouble because of arthritis bar swapping.
Yep.
So she actually uses foot pedals and things like that, to try to help her. But if she actually wanted to get into some sweaty stuff, then she will be able to. And I think you bring up a good point of that's like ESO's way of saying, okay, we're all inclusive now. Like, we're not excluding anybody.
Right. So I would like it if it could bring just like a little more parity to that type of thing. Like from that standpoint, that's kind of why I don't know. That's why I like the idea of having something like that. But you lose the benefit of being able to do substantially more, because if you have 2 bars, you should be able to produce more. I mean, that just logically makes sense because you have literally twice the amount of skills. But like the big thing is I don't really, I don't know. I feel like there was, or maybe there still is, a way to adjust this that it could have some group utility. It's fine if it's a solo thing, but we kind of already have the Pale Order, and I don't care that much. To have another kind of almost exact same scenario needed. Like, it seems like this could have filled a different niche, but it fell into doing the exact same thing as a ring we already have.
Yeah, I think
way.
I think there's a place for it in once we see the final version. But what you just explained now, I think is a place for it in every aspect, except the sweaty PvE progs, you know.
Sure, and I mean, you're probably not going to be using this for score pushing or anything like that. That's not really what I think it should be used for anyways. Like, that's not so much the thing. Because, again, if you're going to be doing score pushing, you're min-maxing everything. So it's fine that you a one bar thing. Like, that's not really the point. But it would be, I don't know. I liked it from that aspect. So I wish they would make it have a little more group utility. Because at the moment, the amount of group utility, like, I don't know. I haven't tried to do it, but I would imagine needing to sit down to actually organize a group to have it have some group utility. What would the tanks be putting on people or putting on? I don't know what you would even be doing. I don't know. It seems weird.
You never know. I mean, I never thought that I would see people sit down and think of a way to use harmony, you know, in PvP.
Sure.
You know, like they're literally harmony groups that take advantage of that. So, I mean, you never know. Once we see the final form, there's probably a way.
Yeah, those harmony necro bombs were loads of fun.
Dude, you have no idea.
I mean, I'm sure it was fun for everybody necro bombing the shit out of me in Cyrodiil. But since I don't run a necro, it seemed miserable.
Yeah, and for the first time, I actually... we didn't call it a bomb group. Because
how thoughtful of you.
It has a negative connotation on it, right? Like, okay, there's a bomb group, there's a bomb group.
Yeah.
So we called it a harmony group.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah, you know? And basically the even the synergies when it's still bombing now that I think about it. Never mind. It's still bombing. Yeah, okay, I digress. Let's move on.
You did your best.
I tried.
Yeah. Look, you made it sound real classy when you're blowing everybody up. It's fine.
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
But yeah, so those are I don't know, those are the big ones that I've been very interested to see where they finally land. Obviously, there's other sets and all that stuff. But, you know, things are starting kind of iron out, I think, without any... I don't know. They literally change Oaken Soul every other day, it seems like. So remains to be seen by the time this lands. But I think this will probably be giving us a good idea of what's coming with High Isle. The only thing I do find weird is that we went from no changes to Maj DK up until oh, cool. All right, so here's the last patch cycle. Also, we're doing a massive overhaul to this class. It's like, what? Whoa, where were the 3 weeks of testing with this being active? I don't know. That one seemed weird. It almost... I mean, I could be wrong. I don't really know how they choose this. But I don't know. It seemed almost like they were like, oh, man, people aren't going to be happy with this. We'll put that one toward the end. We'll save that one. Let people vent. Maybe figure out what to do.
We'll totally fix Cyrodiil and then hit them with the bomb.
Sure. And that's, again, the other thing, too, because when they had originally said the whole performance thing, oh, this is probably not going to matter. Again, not my area of expertise, but I was like, how can updating your, not to overtly sound mean, antique architecture in this case not make a difference? Yeah,
you're right. I mean,
it is old. ESO alone, even if they were brand new servers when the game came out, which they weren't, they're 8. That's like saying, we're going to just run it on an 8-year-old computer and it's going to be great, just as if we had a brand new Alienware, top of the line, everything. It's like, nobody believes that. That's not, those computers are not comparable. But I'm glad that this hit as well as it did, because the performance is pretty much the biggest turnoff to ESO, from everything I hear. I mean, granted, it's tangential. It's only my echo chamber's worth of whatever, but it's new people I introduced to the game, people who have dropped off the game from various guilds and stuff like that. I would guess 90% it's performance. It's always Oh, I disconnect too much. Oh, this doesn't work. Oh, I like this mode, but it's so finicky. Oh, I got into trials, but they're so buggy, blah, blah, blah. It's always performance. So it's like if they could finally get all of that down, I feel like that would really kind of put this game in a league other than, yeah, it's very popular. You know, the last thing was 20 million players total, lifetime total or whatever. It seems like a lot more are probably becoming active from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it would get a lot more staying power if that wasn't a turnoff for people, especially from the PvP side, because a lot of people, like you mentioned, it is a really unique experience, but they'll get sick of it if it doesn't work.
That's what it was like that. It's always, especially like I said, I came in about a little over 2 years ago, and it was a lot of this. Yeah, this is great, but you could do this, but, and
right.
there was, a lot of those, but statements. And it seems like with, at least on the NA side for PC, a lot of those are gone. Except some people still get the random disconnects, but that happens with any MMO.
It does, and I mean, it's one thing that, don't get me wrong, okay, so one thing that I try to stay at least as self-aware as possible about is I am really obnoxious when it comes to, like, lag, especially if I'm doing something competitive. If I do something and it doesn't work, I get real salty. Like that, more than me losing or any of that, that doesn't really bother me. It's when I do something and it doesn't work, like I get real angry. And that'll be like one of the only things that I'll legit be like, oh, I need a break. This isn't fun. Like I'm getting pissed. And sometimes it's like, oh, if I DC, but it's because my ISP in the area shit the bed or something. It's like, well, ESO can't do anything about individual problems. My computer's overheating. My PlayStation, I don't know, last gen, one of the big things when we were working on Griffinheart, I was like, we come out of Portal and we're all blind. This sucks. Like, how are we supposed to do this? I don't know where the goddamn monstrosity is. And then I went to PS5. I was like, the monstrosity's right there. This is totally fine. Like, this isn't even nearly as bad as I thought it was. But it was like, okay, well, I was mad in general, but it was kind of directed at ESO for like, this is really, really frustrating. But it's like, okay, well, it's because the PS4 wasn't able to keep up. Like, it just, yeah. So like, it goes for other stuff as well, PvP and stuff like that. Some of the time, it might be on the person, and that doesn't make it less frustrating, like if your whatever doesn't work. But they can't make everything better. If they can just make the whole thing better, and it's then up to the your internet, your hardware, whatever, that's at least a more manageable, controllable situation. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very surprised to hear yet again that it really is. After hearing all this, I really, really hope that they are able to acquire the extra parts they need so that they can do the EU servers and the console servers, because I know PCNA got theirs done and they have no date for anybody else.
Yes,
I don't believe.
And now with the it's a Microsoft company now,
right?
So it's a different approval process for funding.
Sure.
So I'm sure it's a little bit longer of a process for them to get it approved to pay for the servers.
Sure, but on the flip side, which hopefully benefits them, is Microsoft probably has, as big of a company as ZeniMax was, Microsoft has a lot more sway than basically almost any company. Like they are a tech juggernaut. So it's like, if those parts become available, I bet they'd have a real quick access by comparison to getting them. So hopefully the wait isn't too long, especially as things change, and production kind of catches back up and stuff like that. Now that, I don't know, life is getting slightly less of a disaster, I suppose, with some things at least. But yeah, so very glad to hear that actually is what it sounded like it was. I guess for the sake of I actually have not hosted the show since we started doing this arc. This is just going to be your magic timestamp for giving us our ad break in the middle. So here's a pause. You can just extend it out or not. All right, so with the ad stuff being behind us now, this is your first time on the show. I wanted to give the floor to you. So how'd you get into all of this ESO stuff? You obviously have some pretty strong ties to the community, all that stuff now. Why don't you just kind of give us a bit of your background so everybody knows who ManCaveGaming is?
Oh, man. So I started playing sports games. I actually started playing Madden back in like 2010, 2011.
Hell yeah.
And I played in a lot of cash leagues, like kind of semi-pro. And you can actually, if you go to my channel, you can see some old games from like 2011.
Really?
Like, right? Yeah, you can. Like right when the purchase from Justin TV went to Twitch. I guess those clips never got deleted.
Amazing.
So they stayed on there. And I won't delete them because it's like it's like old stuff, you know. So those are still
like
there.
A relic of the past.
It is.
All right, super tangent because this has nothing to do with old school. Was 2011? Was that the one with Drew Brees on the cover?
Oh,
I can't remember who, because I used to be a huge Madden person, but I can't remember who was on. Because 2011 was around the time I started to fade a little bit more.
It was with Drew Brees. You are correct.
Wow, really? All right, sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's how I got started into streaming. And then I took a long break. But as far as ESO, I was watching somebody stream it for a very long time, for maybe 6 or 7 months before I even decided to purchase the game. Because I'm one of those people where I dive head first into whatever I'm doing, and not only do I dive head first, I swim to the bottom, and then I have to touch everything and pick everything up and understand it. And then if I have enough breath left, I'll come up, and so I won't die.
Okay. All right. I hear that.
Yeah. So once I decided to dive into it from watching Sapphire stream, she, pointed me to like Duma to get some builds and stuff like that.
Sure.
And once I just fell in love with the combat. I wasn't into the storyline. I come from World of Warcraft, where you just through everything. As quick as possible. I watch the movie. I get the gist of what the hell is going on. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I kind of did the same with ESO. Once I realized like, oh, there's a story behind this. And I started to pay attention to the quests more, pay attention to the lore more. And I wish I have done that from the start rather than trying to race to level 50 CP 160.
Yeah, it's different. It's a weird thing from what I've heard from other MMOs, because I have like no MMO background outside ESO. I'm like almost the exact opposite. And everything I hear is like, yeah, usually you race to an end game. I was like, yeah, that's a choice to do in ESO if you want. Yeah. Like that's fine if that's your thing, but
it was just the culture of MMOs. It was like, okay, you're worthless until you get here, and then you got to start gearing up. Okay, now you're at end game. Now you got to push min max immediately, And that was just the culture of MMOs. I mean, I played EverQuest. I played EverQuest 2. I played Guild Wars 1. I played almost all of them, and that's why I was scared of getting into ESO, because, like I said, the time sink, especially myself, that I put into it. Sometimes I can neglect my responsibilities.
Yeah, and trust me, I get it. My wife keeps me in check with reality, so
exactly. That's why I'm glad I have mine to slap me like, hey, dude, this is real life. You got stuff to
mow the goddamn lawn. It's like, oh yeah, right. Got
it. So that once I realized, oh crap, the culture here is different. That's what made me fall in love with it. That's what was like, okay, I need this culture change. I took a look in the mirror, like, am I like contributing to toxic communities? Like, I think I am, because I realized how opposite ESO was. Like, damn, maybe I am a little toxic. So I switched my channel over to ESO. I completely got rid of all my toxic behaviors. Even now it's good. It's like, when someone actually, I had a good battle with the Sork yesterday, a very good battle. It was like a 6 or 7 minute battle in Cyrodiil. We were going back and forth, and he killed me eventually. And I was like, damn, dude, that was a good battle. I actually messaged him. I was like, dude, that was a great battle. And he messaged me back, that was a great battle.
Yeah.
And someone in my chat was like, dude, I've never seen anyone die like that and compliment the other person. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's, again, like, it's what I've always said, especially it comes out during White Streaks Mayhem or Mid-Year Mayhem or whatever. It's the difference between people looking for a good fight and people complaining about PvEers being bad, but then just camping their quest zones rather than actually trying to fight anybody who wants to fight back. It's like, you're not looking for a fight. You're looking to kill easy people and then rag on them, as opposed to anybody who tries to fight you, then they run. It's like, it's a different mentality.
The thing about IC, dude, it's like, that's its own animal.
Everything.
The way.
And I'm fine with the blender approach. Like, that doesn't bother me. It's like, oh, we're rushing through and we're melting everything. But it's like the amount of times that I end up, it's great for points, but like, it's weird that ends up being what it is. I can't, or I've been known to get a couple people and we camping people doing the quests at Bruma, and we just keep killing the people trying to kill the questers. And they're like,
that's awesome.
And it's
You're like policing.
Yeah. And I'm like, this isn't even really necessarily trying to defend them. I just know you guys are shit because all you're trying to do is pick on people not fighting back. And I'm not trying to pretend I'm good. I just want free AP, and you're probably free AP because you don't want to actually fight anybody.
I'm glad that you do that. We should actually do more of that. But the reason those people don't even get AP from that. No, especially if you kill them more than once.
Yeah.
So they're just being, excuse my lack of better term, shit people.
Yeah, they really are. And it's like, but if somebody's running through and, somebody waves a white flag, but they get trucked, it's like, well, okay, it is a war zone. Like, that's fine. I understand that too. Like, that's not a big deal to me. It's like, well, that's the PvP thing. But it's like, when you look for a reason to avoid legitimate fights in order to try to act good, like, you fighting that Sork, for example, and going at each other, you can both respect the fact that it's like, well, yeah, the point of that was a really sweet fight because you were both PvPing because that's fun to you. Like, it's a very different mentality.
Yeah. And then, in IC, it's hard. Places like that where there's the system of Tevlar, where, if you kill someone, you get their Tevlar. Basically, it's a currency you can use to buy some sweet stuff, some sweet gear. Mm-hmm. And when you step foot in there, it's hard to save someone. Like, you could be doing the quest for any event that could be going on, that Mid-Year Mayhem probably, but there's no protection, no amount of protection that could be done if you're doing the quest. Like, it's fair game in there. And I think that's how Zos wanted it to be. Yeah,
that's the objective of it, which I totally understand people who don't like that. So it's like, I don't want to do that. It's like, okay, I get it. Like, I get that that's not a feeling
I don't blame you. Like, don't just forget those quests.
Yeah, it's
don't
like,
do it. Yeah.
Right. It's like, I get that. Like, that can be super annoying. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a PvPer, and sometimes I avoid IC, so that should tell you something.
Yeah, I got to be in the mood for that, personally. Yeah. Like, that's my thing. So why I ended up sticking with this game for so long outside just the community aspect of it, which I've never really been involved of any type of community like this, because I came from competitive shooters, which are when people.
Which one?
I played COD for quite a while in like minor league stuff.
That's right. We talked about that.
Yeah. Dating myself, Unreal Tournament 2004.
Dude, I don't care what anyone says. Unreal Tournament 2004 was amazing.
So good.
Dude, that taught me how to shoot.
Yep.
That taught me how to use rocket launchers. Mm-hmm. It taught me how to cheat with my graphics card a little bit. Yep. Turn everything down and off.
That is correct. So yeah, that was like, I was always like, and I wasn't anything like, I made tons of money, but it's like, I was in enough tournaments that I made money and stuff like that in college and stuff. And it was fun. So it's like, but culture wise, to your point, think it back to like, dude, people would compliment me in a meaner way that people insult me in ESO usually. Like,
that was the culture, man.
It was. And I'm kind of glad it's shifted. It's one of those things where a lot of people are like, oh, times are changing. It's like, yeah, in that situation, maybe best that maybe a few more people grew up, because it's like, dude, what? This is so cringe looking back at some of this stuff. It's like, oh, God. It's like, dude, these are terrible. It's like,
I'm actually glad people like you and me went through that, because it helps us appreciate when we do see a difference in a game like ESO.
Yeah,
you know, we don't take that for granted, and we never will.
No, I don't think so. And you know, I find it funny. I've been in plenty of salty fights. I've been kicked out of trials and stuff like that, and you know, kicked out of what, because people, you know, will get salted each other and all this stuff. And it's like, I get it, like vote kick and stuff like that. And I had one that everybody seemed to really find humor in. I blocked out their name because, you know, whatever. They might have just been having a bad night. That might not have been them regularly, but they were not tanking. They were just werewolf tanking, quote unquote, as in, like, if they could get aggro and be in werewolf form, they technically had a boss. That was the extent of it. But it was a normal dungeon. I was just doing a daily, and I just simply asked. It was like, so we don't have a tank? And this person lost their mind when I dared to say that they weren't a tank. And I was like,
no.
The boss is running around killing everybody. You're not a tank. Like, it's fine that you're not a tank, but you're not a tank. Like, I'm dodge rolling because I don't want to die. Like, and this person lost it on everybody. And it turned into this, like, long DM thread in the end where they blocked me because, because I was apparently very, very toxic, and I was like, dude, it's okay. You just queued as the wrong role because you wanted to skip the line. I get it. It's not even that big of a deal. And it was the most insulting thing I've ever told somebody, apparently. And I'm like, wow, I'm glad I didn't know you when I was younger and actually a piece of shit. Like, good Lord.
like, seriously.
I was just trying to know what I was in the dungeon with. That was all I was asking.
Like, do you have a taunt?
Yeah, it's like,
is it possible?
If you don't, it's fine. I mean, that's not great to do to other. We've gone on the, like, fake tank rolls and stuff, but it's a normal. I'm not worried about it. It is what it is. But I was like, geez, apparently asking.
Or 10.
Oh, absolutely. On PC, anybody who's run with me knows I am full DPS 1 bar, because on my back bar, I literally have a sword and a board, and the only skill on it is puncture, just so I can queue as a tank.
That's it.
I puncture, and then I just dodge roll around DPSing, because I'm like, I don't have time for these queues on PC. I was like, nah, I got nothing, no time for that. But at least I've got my aggro so that everybody else isn't. If I die, then that's on me. Like,
that's awesome.
But what do you call it? So that's interesting. So yeah, you've been in MMOs for a long time then.
Yeah, I actually started. I'm really dating myself. I shouldn't even say.
I do it all the time.
the very first game I jumped into head first was Shadowbane.
Oh,
this was such a long time ago.
I don't know what that game is, but I have heard of it.
Yeah, it was kind of like EverQuest, where if you cast a spell, you can, like, literally dodge it by pressing A or D, you know, just slightly moving.
Okay.
But that's how I get. It was a laggy shit show, but that's how I got started in MMOs. And once I got that, I realized why people stay. Before, I didn't realize, like, why do you guys stay up 24 hours playing a game? I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Until Shadowbane came out, and then I realized, like, oh, this is why people don't sleep and play video games. I get it.
That's
I get
awesome. All right, so might as well jump into, I mean, we covered pretty much what I wanted to. Figure we can just jump into, you've never actually joined us on the show, but for our usually closeout section of the show, we just kind of do tales. So what have you been up to as of late? I mean, usually it's just, we do like anything from the previous week or two, but what have you been up to in game? Obviously, you had mentioned being in Cyrodiil, kind of enjoying the change of things. But what have you been up to as of late in game? Anything fascinating? Any decent imp pushes or anything like that happening that's been of interest to you?
Well, like with the fixes to Cyrodiil, I can't peel myself away. I know I have to farm some transmute crystals because there's another build I want to do, and I only have 50 or so transmute crystals left. I can't even do that to queue for a random dungeon because I want to get in Cyrodiil. But my main thing is, I know it's a problem, but my main thing is I want to keep building that positive community around PvP. And people who are scared to step foot inside of Cyrodiil, but watch me, like, man, that looks so cool. And like, yeah, you can come. You don't have to be extraordinarily great at PvP. I'm not extraordinarily great. I'll help you get in. I hope you understand Cyrodiil. Once you understand Cyrodiil, I can help you hone in on your skills. So that way you understand what you're casting, what buffs you're casting, and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. No, actually, to your point, to anybody looking to check out your streams, it's very easy to find. It's ManCaveGaming. You can give all your info at the end. But like, I swing by you, and I had the pleasure of meeting Nelly Serendipity as well at PAX East. And even the other day, you both were with a nice big group. You got the hammer. You were running around, running amok, and it's just like, yeah, it's fun to watch. Fun. It's fun to be involved with. Like, it's an amusing thing. And you know, I always joke. Clearly, you all chose the right faction. Well, with your nice red background for anybody watching the video feed, because Evan Hart. But yeah, it's. I understand, like, especially because so many people have been kind of dealing with Cyrodiil and having fun with it. So now that it works, it's kind of like people are never going to want to leave this for a while because this is pretty much what's been asked for several years now.
And especially like I have people who come in for the very first time. And they say, oh, my God, we're sieging. I'm on a siege equipment. I'm on a ballista and I'm firing it. And I'm seeing the damage it's doing to a building. I had someone come in and say, I can just fire this siege weapon all day and be happy. You know, and it's awesome when we could get to a fight and kill who's ever in front of their, in front of their keep, kill them without any skill lag to get to the point of putting down our siege equipment. And it's just awesome to sit there and have them say, my first experience in Cyrodiil was amazing. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to bring more awareness out that PvP isn't toxic. Oh, it can be.
Yeah,
but if you
it doesn't
come in the
need
right
to be
group,
toxic.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yep.
Actually, really good question from chat from Ark, who wasn't able to join us, but I'm really glad he brought this up. So I can kind of turn this into a second part too, because I'm very interested in it. Do you remember when it was 24-person groups instead of 12-person groups?
I do.
Did you prefer that or not to start with? Are you fine with the 12-player groups? Do you not care either way? Do you dislike it? Preference-wise for you?
Well, here's the thing. As far as the group size, I think it should be. It's a double-edged sword, but all in all, I think it should be fixed. Not fixed. It should be bring back to 24-man groups. Because it doesn't matter if
I think it should be fixed.
Because it doesn't matter if it's 12 or not, because we just create group 2, and then if group 2 fills up, guess what? We make a group 3. So it doesn't really matter, but it would make it easier for those people who want to be all together with that one streamer or 2 streamers. Even if it's not we don't have to be streamers, just for that one guild who wants to get in there. It just makes it easier for them. It's an inconvenience. There's no other what should I say, advantage that we're gaining for having 24 people. We're gonna have 24 people regardless whether it's run group or not. Did the stream die?
Okay, so Ark can put this back for us. We're back. Sorry about the little hiccup for anybody in the recorded version. I have no idea what happened on my end. Surprise, surprise, dumpster fires abound. So where the hell were we? We were we were in 24-man groups. That's what we were on. So, all right, picking back up.
Like nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly. It's seamless. So I'm definitely of the similar mindset where I think 24 person groups is a ideal solution. I liked it better personally. Do you think they will try to bring it back?
I hope so. I hope so because I think it's an inconvenience to those, who want the 24 man. Like I said, they're going to do it anyway. Whether if we have 24 people that want in, we're just going to create 2 groups. If it's more than 24, we create 3 groups. It's going to happen. It just a little slight inconvenience, for the leaders of those to try to coordinate.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they should. It doesn't create an advantage, anything like that, for bigger groups. Yeah, I think they should.
Yeah, I would. I definitely hope they do. I do know that was one of the few things supposedly that actually did make a substantial difference, which is a little awkward. Out of all the testing they supposedly did with like healing only a group and all this stuff, it was like the only one that I heard they actually saw any noticeable change was making it 12. So I'm kind of like, I wonder if they're even going to want to mess with it again personally, but fingers crossed they do, because I definitely like. Not that I always say I'm a filthy Zergling anyways, because I think it's fun, just a giant siege warfare where you've got like everybody going all in.
That's where Cyrodiil shines, to be honest with you.
I know, and I know people always like to complain that it's like, oh, so it's always the other 2 teams that are Zerging you, where it's like, dude, we all Zerg. That's just how it is. It's just, but Zerging from a sense of like big piles of people, because that's how you give people magic spells or not in a fantasy game. That's kind of how medieval warfare works. You get a bunch of people to slam into another bunch of people and overtake a keep. Like that's how that works. That's
how it's supposed to look.
Yeah, it's part of the game. Like it's it is. If you don't want that, that's what battlegrounds are for, and to a degree, that's what the ICs are like, almost like an in between type of thing.
And we joke around. It's like when we are rolling around in our 20-man group or whatever, and we see a group of 4 or 5 people like on our way that are, fighting one of us. Like, okay, we'll kill them to help them out so they won't die. Like, oh, he should have used more DC in his build. That's our running joke. They should have used more AD in his build.
That's fantastic. So, well, I mean, fingers crossed everything from that side of the pond stays good and things kind of just keep improving. Since last show, the only real thing that I've done, I've been in Battlegrounds a lot, oddly enough, just because, I don't know, I've been enjoying being on a Templar. It's definitely much easier, and I've been screwing around with different PvP builds. There's only a few achievements I don't have in Battlegrounds, so I've been trying to get them, and Templar is really good to flex between being a damage dealer and a healer, depending upon what I'm going for.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I super love that there's variety in game type. Like, I didn't like it when it was just team deathmatch. That I basically pieced out entirely. I was like, this is not for me. I don't want to do just team deathmatch.
That was kind of a mistake on their part.
Yeah, it was not for me. Especially because I'm an achievement junkie. So I was like, well, dude, how am I going to get relic capture kills if there's no relic? Like, I can't even.
I never thought about that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there were several modes.
Even now, because I got so, because it was like how long was it?
It was at least 2 patches. So it at least half a year, I think. It could have been, it might have been long. I don't know. It felt like an eternity. I want to
say it felt like a year. it felt like a year. An eternity. And I got so used to, see someone kill someone and no objective.
Yep.
I still have trouble to this day in Battlegrounds.
Actually playing an objective.
Yeah. I was like, that's right. We got to go find my teammates and do stuff here.
Yeah. See, and my achievement junkie mentality is, dude, I'm probably a piece of crap to play against, just because like people are like, what is the matter with this dude when he plays? But like, I'll be sitting there waiting and I wait for them to pick up the relic so that I can get credit for killing them with the relic rather than bash them to prevent them from getting the relic. I'm like, nah, I'd rather him touch that because I want my relic kill. So I get it, and then I hit the dude with everything I got. I was like, nah, you got to be holding that relic, though, because I'm not going to get credit otherwise. Same thing with domination modes. When I play defense, dude, I sit and lure people to the flag so you're within the radius that I get the defensive execution, because that's not good enough if it's not.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's like, I've had people run away. I'm like, man, I can't do anything about it. They're like, you could just chase him. He has like 4% health. I'm like, nah, man, I'm not going to kill him out there. I don't care. Like, what? He can come back.
That's a lot of discipline. That requires so much discipline that I do not have.
Discipline, wackiness, whatever people want to call it. But yeah, it's so like that's how I play Battlegrounds, which I'm sure some people are very confused what I'm doing on their team or the opposing team. But I've actually been having a pretty decent time with it. It's been pretty fun. The only thing that I will say is kind of weird. I've had some bizarre things. Most of them work pretty well. I get domination game modes like all the time. Like that's almost the only mode I play, which is fine because that's actually my favorite one. But
yeah, I like a domination.
I've gotten 2 Chaos Ball matches. That's it. And
wow.
Yeah, I know. And I know it's just RNG, so like I could just be getting unlucky. It's not like it's like, oh, they never show up. It's like, well, maybe I just don't seem to ever roll them. But one thing, I might have said this on another show, but it happened to me again. I picked up the Chaos Ball and it didn't hurt me. Like I didn't.
What?
It didn't. I kept scoring points, but it wasn't hitting me for damage. So like, you know how it ramps the longer you have it?
Yeah, not only that, it's an AoE too.
It is. Instead, it was nothing. So I just ran around healing myself if anybody hit me. I'm like, I'm taking 0 damage from the Chaos Ball. We won 500 to 0 because nobody took it from me and I didn't take any damage from it. So I'm like,
oh my God.
After that game, I joked. I was like, I'm so getting reported because everybody think I'm going to be hacking. But I was like, that's now happened to me twice where I don't take damage from the Chaos Ball. And I don't understand why. I don't know if that's like...
That's weird. That's on PlayStation?
Yeah, it's happened twice. I've never had it up. Actually, I don't think I've ever pulled a Chaos Ball game on PC.
Were you streaming or recording when this happened?
I actually have no idea. I should check my hard drive actually and see if I do.
I need you to see exactly what you did before you got in and queued to see if there was
a way
pattern
to trigger it. That's actually a very good idea because I just put in a ticket. I was like, invincible to Chaos Ball, and that was like my only description because I was like, I don't care. This can happen to me all day. I'll score 1,000,000 points. It's fine. But it was very weird because that's not how that works.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
I've never had that happen to me when I'm like struggling to keep myself alive when I have that thing.
That thing hurts for once you get over like 100 like scoreboard points. That is like, you are getting annihilated by that thing.
Like, you actually held on. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I've never held on to it for a full 100 points. That's crazy.
I've done games like before when I was on my tank and I had a pocket healer. So we had we basically went in as a dungeon team and we had 2 people just messing them up. I grabbed it. I went all defense. It was back when Battalion Defender was like an inset. So I had Battalion Defender, I think it was Cyrodiil's Crest, and then I had somebody link to me, our healer. He put guard on me, and the dudes just followed me. Right? Yeah, nobody could stop that. It was just completely unstoppable. And that one was just like, but we were built for that, as opposed to just like, cool, I'm just not taking damage for some reason.
Chaos Ball Group. Chaos Ball Group.
But yeah, so I've been enjoying Battlegrounds a bunch. I had mentioned actually before the show, we are so close to getting Unchained. That is, I don't like Black Rose
You'll
Prison.
get it, and it's even more impressive that you're getting it on PlayStation. I think that's incredible.
That is one of the few, because I'm always like, I don't do the add-on thing or whatever, and on PlayStation you can't even if I wanted to, but. Yeah. Black Rose is the first one where I objectively am like, this is different based on it, because we have had runs where we've lost. We basically restart. We don't even wait for somebody to die, but we'll have been flawless, and I will go to grab a shard, and at the last minute it'll be like, you mean the sigil? And I'm like, no, I don't mean the God damn it, and we have to like restart because it gave me the sigil. So it was like, oh nope, no hard mode then. Like it's so like I know there's an add-on that literally turns those off. You just can't interact with them, and I'm like, that essentially makes the arena like a third bigger. Because we stopped using those parts of the arena. We're like, just squish in the middle. We got to just deal with less space because we can't chance accidentally getting one of these stupid things. So,
that's rough, man.
It's a very different beast, I learned. Which, I don't know. It's very...
If you can have one add-on on console, what would it be?
So this usually blows people's mind when I tell them this. I don't use add-ons on PC either, and I play with a controller.
I remember you're telling me that at PAX.
I do the exact same thing. There's only one add-on I actually want, and it is not even a gameplay add-on. There's one to make the UI look like Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. It's the only one I want.
I was expecting like mini-map at the least.
Nope. It makes it look like parchment paper instead of Skyrim.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. It's the only one I want. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. If people want to do that, I'm all about people playing how they want to do things. That's totally fine. But I don't know. Something about it. It's just like, but I'm one of those people. I don't play Skyrim with mods. I don't play Fallout with mods. I have this thing where like it feels weird not playing the game just as I'm given it. And it...
Yeah, you're like a purist.
I guess kind of. But then the thing is, which I do joke, I razz on people all the time. I was like, oh, it would be a lot easier if I had add-ons or whatever. Well, I could if I wanted, but like I'm choosing not to. But like, if that's how somebody wants to play and do something, go for it. Like you do you. Like I'm totally fine with that. But the only thing I would be concerned, because I have long said I want cross play or cross save. Cross save seems more likely and plausible if we get either. But we'll see if that ever happens. But one of the things that always weirded me out when I play on PC is that one where with the, like, you can look at your group when you have add-ons, and it's like, it says what they get for gear, like what they got for drops, or what their damage output was in the group. And I'm like, dude, that is invasive, and it freaks me out. And a couple people have told me, they're like, you can just opt out of it. I was like, dude, if 11 people have their names show up and one's a black mark, gee, I wonder who I was. I'm the only one not using it. That's not opting out. That's me just not putting my name next to it. Like, everybody knows who I am anyways. So, like,
that is true.
That kind of weirds me out. Like, I don't know. It's bizarre. But yeah, it's just, it's one of the things. Maybe it's just because that's how I originally started playing. So, like, I was just used to it. But yeah, I'm not going to lie, an option to maybe turn off sigils would be pretty that'd be pretty enticing. I'm not going to lie to you. And the other thing is, which I kind of don't say enough, I think, is sometimes add-ons existing have given things that I think make the game better as quality of life stuff. The armory is a version of dressing room. It's not exactly the same, but that's good. Dressing room has some. They all have whatever. But like the easy crafting writ thing or whatever it's called.
Well, yes, big time. Yeah, quality of life change.
That one's great. And then on console, we got quest markers above like how to do them, so it just makes it faster. I was like, now that I have that, I'm like, wait, why wasn't that default? Like, it's a quest if I have a master writ. Why the hell wouldn't you show it to me? Like, that seemed like an oversight originally. But it was brought about as a result of an actual add-on. So it's like, there's definitely positives.
Someone brought this up in chat, and it's interesting. Because I use Inventory Insight, and I can't imagine on PlayStation or Xbox, which I do play on Xbox now, but only have one tune. I can't imagine having 9 or 10 or 18 and forgetting where I put something and have to log on each one to find it. I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah, that's, I guess, a definite thing of like, running more characters, I also have this thing where I actually don't like to even run multiple characters. Like, because it's like when I play through the games, I like to do everything on my character and just achievement hunt the shit out of it based on that. So it's like running multiple is always weird to me. And I've branched out a little bit now that it's just like one big shared achievement thing. So I'm like, oh, well, now I guess I'll screw around with this. So like there's definitely some changes and stuff like that I can totally understand with all that. But yeah, the one recently, and again, the reason I bring up like what it could change, hard modes in dungeons, originally it was just at the end. Like, you put up, you burn the book or the scroll or whatever, and then you get the hard mode.
Yeah.
And then it became, well, now it's a challenge banner. You can put it up, you can put it down. And then it became, okay, now there's one for each boss. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's secret bosses and one for each boss. Okay, cool. I wish when you were in an arena, so like there's no sigils in Dragonstar, but for Vatashran, for VMA, and for Black Rose, I would love it if there was a banner at the front. You could put it up and it takes the sigils down. So that...
Oh, that's a good idea. You
like, make it a thing where you can flip a switch and be like, no, these are removed. Because clearly, the original idea, I thought, was it was supposed to section out portions of the arena. Like, oh, yeah, if you're going to do this, you got to be super careful or you got to squish in. And if there's an add-on that they don't, like, the devs themselves have no issue with, like, clearly they don't care because it's allowed. Like,
it's still here.
It's still here. Well, then why not make it an option to just turn them off? Because then it's not so much a changing your gameplay style as a mild annoyance when I use one synergy and it gives me a different synergy type of deal.
Yeah.
But
I agree. Especially for, the console players, or even if you play on PC with the controller, it's well, actually, no, it's only with the console players. Yeah. That's an issue.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, normally I don't mind stuff like that, but it's more so the unintentional use is bothersome. Where it's like, the idea is you largely avoid those areas of the arena, which makes it substantially harder because it's like, well, I can't. Avoiding the niches sucks. Avoiding the niches and portions of the arena double sucks. So it's like, if I could at least have more space to dodge the stupid niches, that'd make my life better. So yeah. Anyways,
I didn't. That's I didn't think about it like that. You almost have it twice as hard as PC.
I was gonna say. So Black Rose tangent aside, the only other thing, and actually Maddie is in chat, despite the fact that he's egging me on with his God Slayer tactics in here. We got to run Tipsy Trials, which is rough because of the time zone things, but he was nice enough to have a Tales of Tamriel sponsored one this week, which was pretty fun. And we went through with a bunch of people who were guests on Tales, and we did a pair of trials. We started with the Mauve Lorcage, which was awkward as hell because I was the one who suggested it because it's my favorite trial. And I was like, I don't have the skin on PC because I've never done it. Let's do VMall. And the first thing we do is I find out I don't own VMall on PC.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, oh man, I forgot that didn't come with a chapter. It came with the Thieves Guild. So shout out to Avron, who, while I was trying to find my wallet, she was just like, okay, this is embarrassing. And she gifted it to me. So
that's awesome.
So thank you, Avron. That ended up making VMall very entertaining. So I got my skin. We got through that with honestly minimal explosions at Twins. Substantially more explosions after Twins, when I think it was Ninja who said, well, at least we're done the hard part. And then we proceeded to die to the cats in the next room for like 45 minutes.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I got my skin, which is fine. Just I like doing that place. But also to shout out to Pylon, who got his skin because apparently he had never done VMall, which is mind-boggling to me because he's... Again, he ran a podcast for a while. It's just so funny he's never been in there. the whole way through. So that was super fun. And then we did Cloud Rest, which was comically embarrassing because at that point, everybody was pretty much wasted, like to the nth degree.
Oh, Cloud is hard enough, and not even doing pluses on that.
For whatever reason, it was suggested we'll just do +2, which I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
You can't just suggest like, oh, let's just throw in a +2 in a group that's never been together before.
But on top of that, if you're doing +2, you might as well just do +3. It's basically the same thing at that point. Like, it's +1 or +3. +2 is just you're screwing around. But we went in and we wiped trying to kill the side boss because we forgot to send anybody down into Portal. So
that's awesome.
So I was like, this is concerning because if we're going to do +2, we just wiped on one of the side minis and we're supposed to do multiple side minis and Zamaja at the same time in like 40 more seconds. So we ended up going with +0 instead after we failed for a while. We did actually get through it though, which was pretty impressive. Because we did not have any sort of optimization. I was actually running around doing orbs on a Templar, which is not a strategy I would suggest because you don't have range. But it was super fun getting to do that. All around, great group of people. It was just a very enjoyable experience. I was tired of work the next day, but it was definitely worth it. It's totally worth it. I can do it every now and then. It's not something I can make myself stay awake that long for, but I can definitely do it every now and then. But yeah, so thank you, Maddie, for inviting me to that. And also, just because it is, I believe it was Finn who said it became the unofficial war cry of Tipsy Trials, was if Maddie ever died, everybody just needed to say Godslayer down because everybody went into panic mode. So just remember, on stream, if you ever see Maddie go down, it's a rare occurrence. Don't worry, you don't need to do it a lot. I'm just saying, remind him with Godslayer down.
Godslayer. I'm glad he actually got it before the DK nerfs.
Yeah, oh man, that would have been heart-wrenching actually.
Yeah.
He gets nerfed like right. Say they were like one death off and they get nerfed. It's like cool, back to stage 1. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for today. ManCave, thank you for joining.
Anytime, man.
Yeah.
This was a blast.
It really was. I was glad we got to hang out at PAX. That was super fun. It was the first time I got to sit down and chat with you for a while over trying to convince people how to eat seafood in New England, which was weird. But I feel you kind of brought like a lot to this discussion this week with the changes to PC and Cyrodiil. So I'm really glad you were able to find some time to join. And where can people get a hold of you? Because this is a thing you do a lot. So if people don't already know who you are, promote your stuff.
All right. So you can find me on Twitch, just /ManCaveGaming, Twitter, man_cavegaming, same on Instagram. I'm always available. Twitter's probably the best way. You can DM me on Twitter. You can @ me on Twitter. That's the best way. But I've enjoyed this. I actually had an amazing time with you at PAX.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Boston, dude, that nothing compares to the seafood in Boston.
It's so good. Maddie knows, actually, just because I talk to him all the time. The next time we hang out, we need to do oysters and lobster rolls. So like that's like the thing. And It's like, I appreciated the fact that you dove right into the seafood as well, because some people were definitely noticeably squeamish about some of the food around here.
No, dude, like straight up seafood. I came there on a mission. Like, I'm coming this far. I think I came the farthest.
I think you did too. I think you were the farthest person out of everybody in that group that arrived.
I was like, okay, I'm going straight. Even though our California seafood is totally different than there, it's not even in the same realm. The seafood there is better, like hands down.
But yeah, so I was going to say, pleasure, like I said. We'll have to have you back again at some point. I'll obviously see you around and everything like that. But no, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you join the show and provide your insight to all of this. So greatly appreciated, man. And as for us, I'm Lotus of Doom. You can find me anywhere, Lotus of Doom. That's really whatever. It's fine. If you've been listening to the show this long, you probably know where to find me. It's very easy cross-branding. As for the show, to anybody here for the live show, sans anything that... We had some technical explosions midstream or whatever, but we are streaming on Tales of Tamriel, which is just the name of the podcast. Super easy to find if you do want to hang out with us live. Shoot us questions, comments, or any of that stuff, and just hang out with us during that. Much easier to find than it was before. But yeah, otherwise, you can follow everything we do over at the Tales of Tamriel podcast.com, which is a site that Ark has streamlined as well. We're kind of just trying to organize everything to just being easier to find us. There you can find links to all of our social media and content. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/UESP if you want to help support the show and earn some awesome Elder Scrolls themes rewards from the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. You can also consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes they matter. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this episode of Tales of Tamriel, and we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
When Akatosh slew Lorcan, he ripped his heart right out. He hurled it across Tamriel, and the heart was heard to shout, red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood afar, a gout on Cyr it fell, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an alien well. Magicka fused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then wild elves cut and polished it down to Chimel at a ball. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. When elves lost Nirn to men, Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. Red diamond, protect us till the end.